goosebumps every time, yeah, 713. To the 281, yeah, I'm riding. Why they on me? Why they on me? I'm flying, sipping low-key. I'm sipping low-key and honest, flying right up. I get those goosebumps every time. I'm around, yeah. I'm fine, you make everything feel fine. I get those goosebumps every time. I need the high, throw that to the side. I get those goosebumps every time, yeah. When you're not around, when you throw that to the side. I get those goosebumps every time.
Up the Mags.
Yes, sir.
Yes! Get in! Get in!
Get in!
Some of that! Yes! Get in! Get in!
Oh, God, yeah, forgot about that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Boys. It's been a while since we've had a win. It seems like a long time since we had a win.
Yeah.
Oh, the Shades! That's right. That's what we do when we have a win.
Back, baby. They're back. Come on.
Welcome one and all. The Shades can only mean one thing. That's a victory for Newcastle United. We're back. Welcome to London Mag NUFC, and this is the reaction show to West Ham versus Newcastle. Let's start it all off. Boys, how are ye? Chris, we'll start with you. On a week off, streaming the form. How are you?
Mate, I am on top of the world. Not after that, watching that game, but on top of the world after the result, most certainly. Yeah, no, I'm made up, mate. And this week, or today, should I say, it's like the adult equivalent of Christmas Eve for me, because tomorrow begins the Cheltenham Festival. So yeah, I am very excited. Over the last couple of days, I've spent like 7 hours doing my research. So yeah, hopefully I have a good week. But no, great way to start the week. Off till next week now. So very, very pleased. Even though, as I was saying to you pre-shows, I was like, that was a tough watch. But ultimately, it too gets the points in the bag at the end of the game. And you know, looking at the league table when Sky Sports flashed it up, it can't be underestimated how huge those 3 points are. Not just for the league table, but also, as Jamie Carragher said towards the end, in terms of the final. We needed to go into that cup final with a win under our belts, and the fact that we have is just brilliant. So yeah, I'm on cloud nine, mate. I'm on cloud nine. Pete, how are you doing, mate?
But before we go to Pete, I'm going to stop you, Chris, and that rattling is back. That microphone is rattling against your jacket. So
Sorry.
Before the chatters come for you, I'll give you a heads up. Pete, how are you?
Not up. Hopefully that's better.
On top of the world after that. I tell you what, a win down off make you feel good. Oh boy, get in. Massive. I know everyone's talking about the final. I get it. But we've said it all last week in the build-up to this game. This game on Monday was massive, and it was. And we're going to get into the details of the game. But look, all that matters tonight is those pearly white 3 points that are on that board, flying us back up the table, right back into the mix. People panicked on Saturday, Sunday, all down to 7th, down to 8th. Now we're back in there, back in the mix, and we've got to run a game now. Come on, get in. Love it. Gaz, how you feeling, fella? Talk to us.
Not too bad. Well, we're not going to everyone can talk about Wembley now because we are going to Wembley. We can focus on that as well. But me, how am I? All good. Up since 6 o'clock, so it's been a long day, but it's been worth it for a result like this. But let's stop table talk on lads. I'm getting ready for it now. Right, but yeah, all good. Let's get into the game, lads. Let's get into talking about a bit about the game, because that's what people are here. Smash that like button as well. You'll see there's 100 people watching us live now. We want I'm gonna go easy, 250. 250 likes. So you can do it. Smash it. Right, this is the team used, lads. Popey comes in for Dubs. Willock is back on the bench. Barnes in for the suspended Gordon. Sean Neve is on the bench. What did you make of the lineup? 4 at the back, not 5.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was pleased, boys. It was as I predicted. I thought I had a feeling Nick Pope was going to be in goal, and yeah, I was pleased. I was pleased with the lineup. Although you boys know, and I'm sure all the viewers know as well. Like I pick what I think Eddie Howe's going to pick. It's not necessarily what I would pick, because I must be honest. When Pete mentioned the 5 at the back, I was completely on board with that. I really, really was, and I still believe that formation and that lineup we saw today is not going to be the same at the weekends. I've still got a feeling. I know Eddie said that there'll be limited changes, but I'm not sure I believe him, if I'm honest. But yeah, I was pleased with the lineup, pleased with the bench, and looking forward to the game when I saw it.
Pete, your thoughts on the lineup?
Yeah, I'll be honest. Obviously, it was what I would have suggested we kind of go with when we did it on away days on Saturday. But looking at the lineup, I wasn't mad at it at all. Really wasn't. Looking at that midfield 3 back together in tandem, and boy, were they in tandem tonight. Having Bruno, Tonali, and Joe Linton back together is exactly what we needed going into this game tonight. Bit of grit, bit of battle, bit of stardust in there. The front line. It was a toss of a coin for me. Was it going to be Willett? Was it going to be Barnes? Not against Barnes starting. We'll come on to him, I imagine, a little bit later on. And yeah, the back forward kind of spoke for itself. I think we all mentioned it, but the big one was Pope. I'll be honest, I was surprised. I was really surprised that Eddie Howe went with Pope and instead of Dubravka, but he did kind of clear it up in his interview before the game in that he basically said that Nick Pope is his league goalkeeper. That's what he said
Yeah, he did.
So for me, it says 2 things. It says Pope's number 1 in the Premier League, and Martin Dubravka starts on Sunday. So that's kind of what I took from his interview. And once he'd made that clear, once he'd said that in the presser or the pre-match interview, I kind of was like, fair enough. Like, let's crack on. Like that was literally my mentality to that, seeing the team news. But Daz, any surprises for you? Anything that kind of stood out, that lineup?
No, not really. I suppose for me, I thought Dubs would be in, and no other surprises. Maybe you could have gone Willock instead of Barnes, but we will talk about Barnes through this. But I want to go to you. You mentioned Eddie's pre-match conversation, but just now after the game, he's after saying one of our best wins of the season, not in terms of performance, but desire and heart. All the big ingredients you need to be a successful team. You need to win when the game is tight and find a way to get over the line. Over the line, Alan Pardew? Remember that one? Right, let's get into it. This is the West Ham team as well, but no one really cares. That was how they lined out. Jamie Carragher you listen to what he said? He said he called Liverpool a city and Newcastle a town. Did anyone else hear that? I thought that was a bit disrespectful. Maybe it's a slip of the tongue, but
I did listen to I was listening to him. So
yeah. Anyway, we'll move on.
And then I would advise anybody not to listen to him, especially when he's talking about Newcastle in relation to Liverpool, because he's never going to say anything positive about us. He just isn't.
No. He can't stay impartial. Anyway, first half, right? This is a long slog, but we'll get through the first half. Mikel Antonio came on to stand ovation before the game. That was great to see after his car crash a couple of weeks ago. So great to see that. Souček, a chance in the first minute as Newcastle defense make multiple errors. Tino was getting a good workout down versus Bowen as well ahead of the game on Sunday up against Salah. But all tight in the first 15 minutes. Newcastle then was starting to find small gaps. West Ham waiting on the counter if there was ever a mistake. On 20 minutes, Barnes had a snapshot from a Trips half shot, but it comes to nothing. 22 minutes, Pope save from Bowen after Tino does well, but he loses. Yeah, Tino made a great little run, but then he lost it. And Bowen should have really capitalized. 24 minutes, a save from a Barnes header. Barnes was looking lively. He was in the mix. He looked more likely to score than Isak for most of the time, actually. So that was good to see from Barnes' point of view. Tonali goes down holding his knee. Big gasp. From I think a collective Newcastle fans everywhere, but he's okay to continue. Yeah, exactly. Newcastle applying all the pressure, but nothing to show for it. As Chris Hall would say, they bossed that first half, but nothing happened. Nothing of note. That took us to halftime 0-0, as everybody knows. Okay, Anthony, you want to say about the first half, lads, before I line myself up for the second half?
All I would say is it was, as I alluded to at the start of the show, it was a very tough watch. Two sides who, clearly were a little bit devoid of confidence, I would say, and a little bit nervous. That's how I'd describe it. I was going to say lacking quality, but I think that's probably harsh on both sides because both sides did have quality. I just think that both really wanted to win the game, which is natural, but I just felt that like they held back a touch. And from a neutral point of view, I know I'm a Newcastle fan, but as a football fan, I kept saying to myself, this game needs a goal. It just desperately needs a goal. Obviously, I wanted it to be a Newcastle goal, but yeah, it was not the most pleasant of halves to watch. I mean, you've mentioned a couple of the chances there, Daz, and it was good you recollected them actually because they didn't stand out to me. But yeah, you're quite right. There was a couple of really good chances, a couple of West Ham, 1 or 2 for Newcastle as well. But yeah, not a half I will remember. But yeah, I was hoping for better second half.
Pete, not as entertaining as the 4-3 that we saw at St James's Park last season, but how was that first half for you?
They only save the big games for everyone. So I think Man United at home will be an absolute treat. But no, Chris, I actually think you described it rightly when you said it was lacking quality. I actually believe that was exactly what it was in the first half. I think West Ham just lacked quality, full stop. I think Newcastle lacked quality in the final third. I think that was the big difference in the game. I thought our midfield was absolutely superb. We dominated. The amount of times that Joe Linton and Sandro Tonali were winning back the ball, it was just brilliant to see those boys working in tandem and just bullying West Ham's midfield effectively for that first half. It was brilliant to see. I thought. This was a controversial topic in the first half because I had people on the Mags Down South chat making comments with regards to Harvey Barnes, saying, "Oh, Harvey Barnes was shit. He didn't do anything." I actually thought Harvey Barnes was brilliant in the first half, and I'll give you my reasons why I think he was really good. I think tonight he played in a different. The tactic was very, very clear to me. Harvey Barnes is like Gordon. He's a touchline winger where you see him really far out wide, where he was very, very specifically told to play inside, and he was almost kind of drifting as a number 10 in and around Alexander Isak, which is why he popped up for those couple of chances you mentioned, Daz, with the one with the little flick towards goal that was saved by Ariola, and then the header, which was also saved as well.
That flick was so unlucky, by the way, Pete. So unlucky. When you watch the replay, fantastic save from Ariola. Really was. Absolutely.
And he was told to play a different role today. And I think that's what other people that thought he was just shit because they just had that opinion on him, didn't actually look at the game and watch how it unfolded, and could see the tactical way in which the game was being played. He was very much told to play that way, and it actually allowed him to be a second threat in the box to Isak. So Isak's not just the only one in there. Barnes being around had the defenders thinking about a second player. But what it allowed, then there's tons of space on that left-hand side for Tino Livramento to exploit. And that's where the positives kind of end, because I'm going to be honest, Tino Livramento really, really pissed me off tonight. He really pissed me off.
His left foot?
Yeah, no. It's not. Look, we know it's not his position. We know he's not a left back. We know he can play there. Certainly defensively, he can do a job there, but he's not a left back. So we understand that. But that's not why I'm pissed off with him. Why I'm pissed off with is his decision making in the final third. He got given literally half of that side of the pitch to work with. Times where he was receiving the ball with nobody on him, and times where all he had to do is drive into the space and try and whip a ball in. Even times where he was kind of out there wide, and he had the opportunity to cut back onto his right foot and then just curl a ball into the box. He had 3 or 4 players in the box ready and waiting, and he didn't do it. He chose the simple option every single time. Cut back, play it right back to Dan Burn, and we played that little shitty passing across the back again. And all it did is just allow West Ham to get back in and defend. And it really annoyed me because I need more from Tino Livramento. We've asked questions of him on the right-hand side for exactly the same reason, but we needed more from him tonight. And yes, it's not his position, left wing back or left back, however you want to call it. But I'm sorry, like if you're an England international, don't care how old you are, if you're an England international, you need to be putting that ball into the box. And if I'm Eddie Howe, I'm screwing at him at half time. I am singling him out because he was the reason why a lot of our attacks broke down. I thought the build-up play at times was brilliant from Newcastle. I thought we worked the ball really well into wide areas. I thought had the final ball been made, we had players making runs. I mean, Harvey Barnes, you could see Harvey Barnes and Isaac were like visually and physically, arms in the air, like pissed off with him because they're making runs, good runs, and he's not giving them the ball. And we're talking about like, where's the service? Well, they're not getting it. And so that was my biggest issue in that half with our play was Tino Livramento's lack of attacking nuance and ability to just get that ball into the box. Other than that, lads, I thought we played really well. I thought we worked the ball well. I thought we won the ball back well. We battled. Defensively, we gave the ball away a little bit cheaply. I think it's obvious our centre-backs were a problem in that game, giving the ball away unnecessarily. But I thought we were by far the better team. But feel free, anyone in the chat, you boys disagree with that. That was just kind of my assessment of the first half. I didn't think it was bad at all. But little things like Tino on that left-hand side were really letting us down.
The only thing I'd say, Pete, just as a quick one. Oh, go on, Daz. Go on, mate. Sorry.
Massive news. Eddie Howe says Newcastle have reported a clean bill of health from tonight's game. Alexander Isak came off with a little fatigue and is fine. Breathe. Sorry, Chris.
Yeah, no, mate. That's far more important news than what I was going to say. All I was going to say was the positive from Tino that I'm taking away today was defensively. I felt like he did well. And obviously, with him coming up against Mo Salah at the weekend, it's important that his defensive game is spot on. Now, don't get me wrong, Pete. I agree with you from the attacking point of view. He needs to do more. He needs to do better. I think there was a few exchanges where him and Barnes, you could see Barnes like speaking to him as if to say, "What was that?" And Tino almost ignores him, and I think it's because he kind of knew, that he could and should have done better. And Alexander Isak cut a bit of a frustrated figure tonight, I thought. Great that he got minutes in the tank, and great news that Daz has just revealed that he's absolutely fine, but something we need to sort out for the weekend. Absolutely.
Someone put in the chat as well, Joe Linton, no yellow card.
Exactly. That's another excellent point as well. No injuries, no suspensions. We can just go rock on. Smash that like button if you're just after joining us because we're heading towards 200. Super chats are open as well, guys. As well as our new feature is in buy us a beer. If you scan the QR code, it'll take us straight into the buy us a beer website, and off you go. Anyway, let's move on. Can we kick on and find the net is the question as we head into that second half. West Ham up the pressure at the start of this half. Big gasp again as Big Joe goes down holding his big toe. But all is okay. Three Three bigs. What 60 minutes. What a save from Areola off the line as the Hammers players deflect the Murphy's ball goalwards. Big relief there for West Ham, and lucky for us that did not go in. But we did not have to wait long, because here he is. Boom. Bruno with a goal. Barnes has a shot. The rebound comes back to him, and he lobs the ball in again. And Bruno is first to react, slides in, and applies the finish. Cue the celebration. Our own one first. Boom.
Yeah.
And this one. Yes. So, Chris, we'll go to you first. Thoughts on Bruno's goal?
Well, first of all, I absolutely loved the celebration. I think that was the back end of the celebration that we can see there. But I loved the little airplane he was doing, like, you know, the whole.
This one, yeah.
I loved all that. So that was great. And you know what, Daz? When you flash that goal video that you've got there, the first thing I thought was, we haven't seen enough of that this season. I want to see that video more. But yeah, I think it's absolutely scandalous defending from West Ham. Scandalous defending. From a Newcastle perspective, great. You know, Harvey Barnes tries to I can't remember if he tried the shot or tried to whip the ball in. I think it was a shot, I want to say. Anyway, it ricocheted, bounced back to him, and then he takes a touch of the ball, stops dead for a minute, and he's like, right, what should I do here? And then decides to float it in towards the back post. Why the West Ham defence, I think it was either Wan-Bissaka or Todibo, didn't close him, I'm not quite sure. But that obviously worked beautifully to our advantage. There were my red and blue mates in the chat trying to say that Alexander Isak had fouled the West Ham defence. Pete, it's all the time, mate. It's all the time. All the time. It's all the time. But we reluctantly agreed that if the referee had given a penalty, VAR wouldn't have overruled it. But I did say that the referee didn't give it, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah, really smart from Bruno. You know, last gasp. You know, lunge to try and get there. Got his studs on it, I believe, and put us 1-0 up. And ultimately, that was the deciding goal in the game. Yeah, I was absolutely delighted when that went in. I'm particularly made up for Bruno as well. You know, he did his usual like 2 or 3 forced celebrations. But yeah, it meant a lot to him. I think it was great that he scored that goal. And I hope that it gives him confidence and it gives him a little bit of an extra 5 or 10% in time for Sunday.
Pete, I want to get your thoughts on Bruno's goal, but also I think you probably hear about this again, but did you think there was a bit of a push by Isak in the build-up to that goal?
Fuck off. You ain't getting any sympathy from me tonight. You got not a chance. Get out of it. Get stuffed. Never a foul. Never a foul. All day long. Nothing wrong with that goal whatsoever. They tried to check the offside as well, which was a non-factor as well. And look, it's a lovely goal to score. As you said, Chris, I think Barnes did go for the shot initially, comes back in, takes a touch. He was a little bit inside, which is probably why Wan-Bissaka, who I actually thought was brilliant tonight. I thought he was. I've been so impressed with him since he's gone to West Ham. He really does look a player. It's just a lovely clipped ball into the back post. He did something similar against Bournemouth, where Gordon scored earlier on in the season. Just a nice little clipped ball to the back post, and Bruno's lurking. He has that knack when he plays higher up the pitch. He has that knack of just arriving in the box when you don't expect him to, because people don't mark him because they don't think he's going to be a genuine threat, because he doesn't score massive amounts of goals, but he's one of them that will just pop up in positions you don't expect him to. And just to see him there and poke that home, I just went nuts. Absolutely nuts, because you just knew we got the first goal. West Ham were not creating anything. Look, we talked about the worry of Kudus. I mentioned to Lawless, people have been concerned about him. West Ham fans didn't think he was great at all. I think he was well marshalled tonight, apart from a couple of our own mistakes where he was let back in mostly by Dan Burn. But other than that, he didn't really do anything. I thought Bowen was well marshalled again tonight, who's a terrific player. And you just thought with that goal going in and Bruno scoring that goal, backs to the wall, sit in, defend deep, take the 3 points. That's all I was after at that point. We did what we needed to do, got the goal. Let's just see it out. But yeah, you know what? So I've got to say, boys, because you know I was quite animated and quite opinionated around Harvey Barnes last Sunday, and I was all for Willock starting ahead of him. Fair play to him. Fair play, because I genuinely believed tonight. I thought he looked dangerous. I thought he made some intelligent runs that weren't where he didn't get the ball. Even though he was making the good runs, he creates a moment, 2 moments where we could have scored, and then he creates a moment where we actually score a goal and he gets an assist on there. And I think he's got something like 10 goal involvements in 11 games or 11 goal involvements in 10 games, something like that. Fair play to him. Yeah, give him props for that big time. And it's nice to see with losing Gordon that Barnes can take his chance. He's just got to now be consistent with it, because for me, he will start the final.
And he also offers that threat where he can cut inside and just unleash that right foot. So it takes the pressure off Isak. And while Isak is bamboozling Van Dijk on Sunday, you never know. Barnes might sneak in. So yeah, I've reversed my decision as well on Barnes. He stepped it up tonight, so he deserves a shot in the final. But let's kick on. Sorry.
No, just one last thing. I was going to say, like, you're talking about, the possibility of next Sunday if he does start. Dave, I'm with you. We're all with you.
We'll go on the overlap and we'll tell him that.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't worry, Dave. We are with you. But yeah, you're thinking about how good Wan-Bissaka was tonight, and Barnes, got some joy down there and cut inside and played a different way. He's going to be up against Trent, and Trent can be beaten quite comfortably. Not necessarily for pace, but with trickery and movement. There's an opportunity to get more joy there from a less defensive-minded right back. So interesting, boys. Very interesting. Yeah. Sorry, guys.
Right. Okay, Chris, I'm going to test you out now to see if you have any sympathy for West Ham. 69 minutes, penalty appeal for West Ham. Bruno on Bowen goes to VAR. VAR says no. What does Chris Hall say?
It's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting, Daz. I mean, when it happens, there was a tiny little bit of panic. Only for the fact that, we are Newcastle United. People do like to try and, ruin our celebrations. But yeah, I watched the replay and it was just like, come on, get up. Bruno after it. You see, the only problem is Bruno after it was going to the referee, wasn't he? He was wagging his finger going, no. But we've seen loads of players do that. And then you watch the replay and you're like, oh my God. But thankfully, Bruno was absolutely right. There was no way it was a penalty. Certainly not enough contact. But the commentator suggested it was a bit of a push in the back. It wasn't. It wasn't a push in the back. It was shoulder to shoulder. You could argue maybe slightly the back of his shoulder, but there's no way it was a penalty. It was a fair challenge.
Peter Davey, you given a penalty for that?
You're the only person other than my mum that's called me that. Jesus. But normally it's when I was in trouble. But what have I done? But no. Look, Alan Smith, who was on commentary, was desperate for West Ham to get a penalty.
He was dying for that penalty. He was dying for it.
At the microscope, and he was looking at all sorts, trying to drum up that penalty incident for sure, because it was all about the Jarrod Bowen show tonight. They wanted it to be all about West Ham, so they could lawn West Ham and all their great football and Potter rejuvenating West Ham. Nah, not today. Not today. Look, there's contact, but there can be contact in football. That's a reality. And I think what he's done is just eased Bowen off the ball. But look, Jarrod Bowen knew what he was doing. They knew what they were doing. West Ham. There was another one with Fabian Schär as well in the second half too, where Schär goes in and tries to nick the ball, and basically All they were doing is trying to win a penalty because it was the only
Kudus.
way we're going to get back into the game. Yeah, Kudus, that was it. Absolutely does. And that was the only way West Ham were going to get back into the game is by trying to manufacture something, because creativity-wise, they were doing absolutely naff. And Newcastle, for all our issues with centre-backs and whatever, weren't really doing to. He's gone missing, Anthony. He's gone missing. I have no idea where he is.
I'm sure if you listen, you'll be able to hear Daniel Lawless given out in his videos later on tonight, I'm sure.
But yeah, ultimately, that was the only way they were going to try and get something. So they tried to manufacture it. Newcastle saying, not tonight. Never a penalty. Nothing to see here. Simple.
Cool. And we'll move on, because like when Tonali went down holding his knee and you gasp, and when Big Joe went down holding his big toe, you gasp. But when Popey went down, I laughed, because I knew well there was nothing wrong with Popey, because he does this every game. The whole shithousery comes into play again. It just to kind of take the sting out of the game. But yeah, love it.
Did you like as well, Daz? They like? I mean, they may have done this in the past, and forgive me if they have, and I've not seen it. But I love the way the camera zoomed in on Martin Dubravka, and you could almost see his face when he was like, "Yeah, mate, you've got to warm up because this is part of the charade." And he was like, he puts his bib on and he's jogging and he's thinking, fucking, I'm not even coming on here. It's fucking pointless. And then he goes back to his bench, like, yeah, it's done that, mate. Go ahead, sit down. You're fine. You're fine.
I signed a new contract for this, he's thinking. All right, okay, we'll move on. 78 minutes, subs. Barnes comes off, Willett comes on, Isak comes off, Wilson comes on. Again, another gasp. So, Isak and Barnes made it through. Then carry on a bit more. 84 minutes. Popey with a headed clearance. Bit of deja vu for me when I saw that happening. The old shades of the Liverpool game. But 87 minutes. Bruno off, Longstaff on. 6 minutes injury time. 1-0 win. Newcastle. No injuries, no suspensions. On to the League Cup final. Boys, happy days.
Absolutely happy days. I just wanted to add in there, Daz, after that comment you made there. There was a few things, the few things that brought out gasps from Nick Pope for me tonight. But I have to say, I thought his shot stopping was very good when needed. And that header, that was a really good header, that, to be fair. As soon as he did it, I thought, fair play. He stuck his head where most people wouldn't. So it was very brave, and it he got us out of trouble there, because defensively we were a little bit all over the show, and the fact that he came out and he put his head there and cleared the ball, I thought fair play to him. That was very good from Nick Pope. So we'll say that. You won't hear me complimenting Nick Pope all that often, but on that occasion I have to, because I thought he did well with that.
Nice one. Overall summary of the game, lads, before we move on a bit.
Just a quick one for me. Not the most pretty match on the eyes, but it's all about those 3 points, boys. It was all about the 3 points in the league, and it was all about going into that Carabao Cup game on Sunday with confidence. Would I have liked Isak to score? Absolutely. He didn't actually register a shot on target tonight, which was a shame. But the way I'm looking at it, I think he's saving himself. I think he's saving himself for Wembley, and I'm sure he'll more than make up for it then. But now, great 3 points. More minutes in the tank, as you rightfully said, Daz, before. We've come through unscathed, no additional injuries. So now it's about the boys, getting back on the grass, working as hard as possible, and getting ready in the next 6 days for the final.
Chris, your microphone has slipped inside your jacket again, so it's scraping a bit. But Pete, any final words from you on the game?
Yeah, these are the type of games that you look back at the end of the season and think, massive. Could it be a turning point? And look, I'm not saying could this be a turning point for Sunday. Sunday is a one-off game that'll be played, and hopefully we can get the win and lift the trophy. But this could be a turning point for the rest of our season, boys, because I'm sure we'll at some point look at the fixtures to come. For me, they're favourable, and this one, out of the next 3 or 4 was probably the most difficult in terms of where we have to go and who we have to play against. The fact that we've won this tonight means that we should be going into after the international break, regardless of what happens in the cup, is going in with confidence to go, you know what, we're right bang in this race where other teams are playing each other. We're in a position where we're playing teams that we can put the sword to and actually put ourselves in a really good position for Champions League football. And so, how we get that win, how we got that win tonight, didn't really matter to me. But actually, what I will say is that, when you're coming out of a game and West Ham, the home team, have only had 2 shots on target that were both literally grass cutters into Pope's hands, easily collected. Pope's not had a save really in anger to make tonight. And that, you could say, is down to the midfield marshalling things really well. That's down to the defence, albeit a little bit rocky, but defending very well when they needed to. And yeah, just an overall solid and comfortable performance. There's no doubt for me we were the best team on that pitch tonight, and we proved it for long parts of that game. And we fully deserved the 3 points. Positives for me, Chris, you touched on Nick Pope. I absolutely agree with you. There's some people in the chat that didn't want Nick Pope to start, probably not happy with Nick Pope playing tonight, and maybe didn't even rate him playing. But what you saw tonight is where Nick Pope's strengths are. First of all, sweeping. Okay, you talked about the header where he comes out and heads that ball. Dubravka doesn't do that. Pope is well known for sweeping. The only time he hasn't swept well, actually, there's twice that I can recall in his whole Newcastle career where he hasn't swept well. Happy birthday to me. Happy birthday to me. Peace. One was against West Ham last season, where he gifted them a goal really early on, and the other one was when he got sent off against Liverpool. They're the only times in his Newcastle career that he hasn't swept well. He's a good sweeper of the ball. He comes out, he can command that long area of the pitch. Secondly, I thought he commanded his area really well today. He came out and made a couple of really big catches in the first and second half. He came out late on in the game and made a couple of big punches that got the ball out from like crosses and free kicks and corners that were coming into the box. Just really sort of commanded his area that takes the pressure off the defenders. And that's what we bring. That's why we bring him into the team. That's why he plays. He might not be great with the ball at his feet. I tell you what I was pissed off with, though. We just lost Chris for a second, but what I was pissed off with is the overusing of Nick Pope. Is that there were times Tino did it, Burn did it, Starr did it, Trippier did it. Is that when they didn't need to, they kept giving him the ball. Anybody go back and watch that game. West Ham, and we've seen it in previous games, in the last 3 or 4 West Ham games, watch those games. West Ham do not press the defence or the goalkeeper. They don't do it. That's not part of their game plan. And to be fair, when Burn and Shaw had the ball, they didn't press them at all. But when Pope had the ball, they were running hell for leather to try and close him down because they knew he was the one that they would get some change out of. So if they know that and they can see that, why are we over reliant on him and keep giving him the ball when we didn't need to? Tino did it a couple of times. Burn did it a couple of times. Shaw, yeah. There's no need. There were other easier passes on in field or up the pitch. And sometimes it's not necessarily Pope's fault because he's being given balls that he shouldn't need to have. He shouldn't need to be having those balls. Sometimes a better ball is inside in play or further up the pitch. Sometimes we just need to whack it long into the channels and get our wingers running into it. But we don't. We put pressure on our defence when we don't need to. So, as much as we criticize Pope for him not being good on the ball, we don't help him either as a team because we give him more than what he needs to have. And we need to take that pressure off him. If he's going to start games for Newcastle United between now and then the season, and we know he's not good with the ball, he'll know it. Defense knows it. The team knows it. The manager knows it. Don't give him the ball if he doesn't need it. If it's absolute necessity, fine, but don't give it him when you don't need to.
It's like they're giving it to him to give him some practice at this stage in the game. But right, like the special effects, Pete, with bursting a few bubbles there today, carry on in that fashion. But what was I going to say? Right, remember as I'm trying to think about it, this was the team celebration picture. Thanks, Pete, for uploading this one as well. But yeah, what's going on here? Anthony Murphy, of course, going mental.
Joe's loving it without that yellow card to his name, but he's buzzing about that because I mean that's great for us because regardless of what happens in the cup final, I believe he'll be playing against Brentford at home, which we need him for. We need him for that one after the international break, so that's a big plus.
Yeah, we do.
Yes,
I remember. I remember what I was going to say. I was going to say just. I'll go back to this picture again. I was going to say something about West Ham, but I wonder are West Ham fans getting a bit pissed off now as well because they've won a few games recently, but they're so very defensive. Playing at home, you know, they could have come out a bit more from their point of view. Just sat back waiting on the counter the whole game. And then it was just they switched up as soon as they went 1-0 down. But they'll get pissed off of that now. If they, I know Potter's coming in, it's not his team. He's got to tighten the defense in some way. But at the same time, when you're at home, you need to have to go for it.
Did that not remind you though, boys, of like the same as what David Moyes was doing when he was manager? Did that not remind you? Did they play any different to you? Watching them tonight, did they play any different to you than what they played when they played at St. James's Park under Lopetegui, or what they played when we were there last year at St. James's Park, or the game before that? Was it really any different?
I must admit, Pete, as well, I thought it was incredibly odd. I get that they're behind, and I suppose, you know, as a fan, maybe, you know, you enjoy your manager just throwing strikers on willy-nilly. But I think when he brought on Evan Ferguson, then he brought on Danny Ings, and they were playing with like 4 up front, it was almost a bit like, you know, this isn't a cup final. This isn't a, you know, if you lose, you're out, and that's the end of it. It was almost like, you know, I felt like tactically it was a bit obvious because it wasn't difficult for us to deal with. And like, you know, at one point they had 4 forwards on, and they still didn't look like scoring. And it's like, no, that wasn't the tactic. I don't think that was the right thing to do. And I'm not even including. I don't think I'm including Paqueta in that either, because they had Ferguson, they had the Ings, they had Kudus, and they had Bowen. And then they have Paqueta just behind, and it was like, well, you're making the game easier for us because all your players are up front. Evan Ferguson, tell you what,
He's gone down, hasn't he?
Oh, God.
Chris, until you said it just then, I actually forgot he played. I'm not even lying. Not even lying. Like, I remember seeing him just about to come on and thinking, oh, fuck, you know, they're throwing everything at it now. And then I just forgot. Until then, until I saw him, I don't even remember him. Here he is. Hey. Love it. Love it. We'll get you back on soon, fella. Don't worry about that. But you know what? I can't believe it. Chris, you just rejogged my memory. All I can remember him is about to come on. I don't remember seeing him on the pitch at all.
He didn't do much.
He gave the ball away twice.
He needs to move to the championship or something just to build up his confidence now, I think, you know, just again.
He's still only 20. He's still only 20.
Yeah, he'll come good, I think, but it's just he needs something to
So you know what, Leicester, someone like that, where like if Vardy retires, if he goes to somewhere like Leicester, who are likely to get promoted, and he's like to play every week, he can just bang a load of goals in. Yeah, but like Claire's right. Like scored a hat-trick against us. He hasn't done anything since. Literally nothing since. Like we have been the worst thing that's ever happened to me. You know what? That's what you get for scoring a hat-trick against us. Since Chris Wood has
scored a lesson to you.
Since Chris Wood has scored a hat-trick against us, he's done naff too. So let that be a lesson to you.
Yeah.
That's debatable. I'm sure I know a certain Foxy or Wolfie that would debate that one. Chris, we just show the team photo again. We just put this up while you were gone. So yeah, great to see these back again.
Brilliant.
Nice one. But yeah, let's go straight to the table, boys. Let's look at the table.
Okay.
Boom, here we go. This is where we're sitting. We're sitting in sixth spot on 47 points. Man City also on 47 points, so we're separated by goal difference. Below us are Brighton, 46, Aston Villa, who have played a game more on 45 points. Bournemouth played 28, but on 44 points, and Fulham on 42 points. So that's how I think it's Crystal Palace underneath that on 39 points. And on looking up, ahead of Man City, this Chelsea on 49 points. Nottingham Forest flying it, absolutely flying it after their win against Man City. Arsenal and Liverpool. But yeah, happy to be sitting there, boys. Nicely poised as we go into the next set of fixtures, as you mentioned, Pete, which are, and I'll just rattle them out as well. After the cup final, we've Brentford away on the 2nd of April. We have Brentford at home on the 2nd of April. Leicester City away on the 7th of April. Man United, as the game we're at, boys, at home on the 13th of April. Crystal Palace at home on the 16th of April. Then we're into Aston Villa, so I won't go much further than that. But so with winnable games coming up in the league, we could be hungover celebrating a cup victory, of course. We're not going to complain too much about that either if that happens. But this is the table. What thoughts on the table, lads, or where do you want to go next?
Do you know what? I just want to touch on this league table, Daz, and it was me red mate who brought it up to me the other day, and I quickly shot him down, and then looking at this graphic, I can actually see where he's coming from. So he mentioned to me, he asked whether I was nervous over Newcastle getting top 5. And I said no. I said I'm feeling confident. What for me, once this cup final, it sounds terrible saying this, but it's coming from a good place. Once this cup final is out the way, once we know the outcome, and hopefully it's a positive outcome, and we lift that trophy, all focus is then on the Premier League. And that's why I asked you boys the question the other week. About is it hindsight's a wonderful thing, but is it a blessing that we're not in that FA Cup? And I think in many ways for us, trying to achieve top 5 this season, it could well be. Would I have liked a cup run? Would I have liked an FA Cup run and get to the final? Of course I would, but you've got to take positives from negative situations. But me red mate said to me, he was talking about Chelsea and Brighton. And my question to him was, hang on a minute, they've just scraped over the line against Leicester. I think they scraped over the line against, they beat Southampton 4-0, but it wasn't all that convincing. I know the scoreline maybe says otherwise, but I did watch the game, and they wasted a host of chances, and this is against a really poor Southampton team. But who he did mention as well, he mentioned Brighton, and if you look on that right-hand column, boys, you know what's dead interesting? Take away Liverpool. If you look down that list from 2nd all the way down to 10th, look at how inconsistent all of those teams are, apart from at this present moment Brighton. Brighton have won the last 4 games on the bounce. Yeah. And I was like, ooh. So Brighton certainly want to keep an eye on. I mean, Brighton not that long ago were down in the doldrums, near the likes of Fulham. And when I say the doldrums, it is only 5 points away. They were quite a way off. But Brighton have really put themselves back in the conversation. But isn't it mad when you look from 2nd all the way down to 10th on that right-hand side? Most teams have got either 2, if not 3 losses out of 5. Which shows you why it's so tight at the top.
Well, this is Brighton's purple patch. We had ours around the Christmas time, let's say, or whatever, and hopefully another one to come. But I think Brighton will fall off again. They're like us. They're hit and miss on given days.
Lads, this is what Brighton do. Like, they'll have good moments where they'll do like what Chris said, put 4 wins on the spin, but then they'll drop points to the teams that you would least expect it, and go on a downward run again. You look at Chelsea's next lot of run. Chelsea got a really difficult run now between now and May. They've not got easy fixtures at all. I think they've got Arsenal coming up next weekend, which is this is the thing when you look at the league. it may well get worse for us because the rest of the Premier League play next weekend and we don't. So everyone else is going to have a game on us. Like they're going to have a game advantage. So, it could well be that we walk into this final on Sunday and other teams have dropped points, hopefully, that still puts us in a favourable position. But this is why we had to win tonight, is because other teams play next weekend, and had we not have won, drew or lost, it would have put teams at a serious advantage ahead of us. But what it's done is all of the work of Villa beating Brentford away and Bournemouth taking a point at Tottenham, Brighton getting a last-minute winner penalty against Fulham. All that's done is just been cancelled out by the fact that we've gone and won again, and we go ahead of them all. So they've now got to go back to the well in the next game to try and get points to overturn us. Now they have to. For example, Villa have to win their next game. I don't even know who they play. They have to, because
they are playing. They must be playing on the Monday. No,
they might not be because they've played an extra game, so they might.
That could be it. But I can tell you that Man City are playing Brighton, so we're sandwiched in between both of them there. So either Brighton overtake us or Man City, or unless it's a draw, gain a bit of momentum on us.
I mean, even a Brighton Man City point means that we stay where we are, because on goal difference we're better than them. So all of these things mean that we may well drop a position or two. But if teams drop points next weekend whilst we're playing in the cup, it allows us to go back midweek against Brentford after the international break. And if we go and beat Brentford at home, we're back in that race again. Leicester, we expect to win. Man United, with the way they're playing at the moment, we should be confident going in that game that we can pick up something and win that game. And that puts us right into the mix. Palace then the following Wednesday. Palace are on a good bit of form, but at St. James's Park, you'd expect to at least give them a game and win whenever we play at home. So you're looking at, you're looking at the league right now on 47 points. 5 more wins takes us to around 60, 62 points. 5 more wins. Now, 62 points is likely to get you 5th spot this season.
You've got to think, Pete. You've got to think we can win half our games. You've got to.
Yeah.
And if you can't win half your games, we don't even deserve to be in the top 5 conversation. We just don't.
Well, you're thinking we won tonight, Chris, but 2 of those games are Leicester away and Ipswich at home. You've got to be thinking 6 points on the board there. So then, if you go in and beat, look, you want to be playing Brentford at home, not away. You want to be playing them at St. James's Park, right? And they're in a bit of an iffy form at the moment. So go and beat them. Then you got Leicester away. Hopefully, go and win there. You get 2 wins on the board. That's 3 wins back to back in the Premier League. Your form's looking different then. Your confidence is looking different then. And then you're kicking into Man United. We go and beat Man United. You're putting yourself in a position that by the time, if we go on a run and we beat Brentford, we're obviously talking hypothetically here, but it's not out the realms of possibility, which is why I'm saying this, is that you go and beat Brentford at home, you go and beat Leicester away, you go and beat Man United at home, and you go and beat Crystal Palace at home. And you get those 4 wins, 3 out of the next 4 at home. You go and get those 4 wins. You're not far off there. That's without playing Ipswich. You got Chelsea to come to St. James's Park, who ain't great on the road, particularly at St. James's Park. You got Everton last game of the season that you're not thinking about. There's games there. If you're looking at that, lads, there's games there to be won. And that's talking about Villa away, where we won last season. Arsenal's going to be away. It's going to be difficult. Brighton away is going to be up in the air. Like, you're looking at it, boys, and you're thinking there are games there for us to win. When you look at Chelsea's running, it's very difficult. When you look at Brighton's running, some tough games. Like, you look at the teams around us and their runnings and their games between now and then the season, they're not easy. We've got a pretty decent run of games. So
You go and beat Chelsea at home, Pete. That's huge. You go and beat Chelsea at home, and then when you go to Brighton, you just don't get beat. Just don't get beat.
Yeah.
If we can avoid defeat, in your away games, avoid defeat and try and make sure that you get your home wins in the bank, and then we could be going into that last game at home to Everton, and we could. I've said this to me blue mates. I've already told them. I said we could already have Champions League wrapped up by then. We could have it wrapped up. We really could.
I think, yeah. If I think 5 more games, win 5 more games gets us European football, in my opinion. 5 more games gets us European football. I think after that, if we can get a couple of draws here, maybe a 6th win somewhere else could get us Champions League. And that's the priority, boys. For me, yes, we're in the Champions League race. Absolutely, we want to be as close to that, if not well in that, as possible. But for me, first and foremost, I do not want a rerun of what we did, of what happened to us last season. I want this guaranteed.
Leave it hanging. Yeah.
Guaranteed European football next season. Guaranteed. No question. None of this FA Cup bullshit that's going to screw us over. None of that. I want this guaranteed European football. Then after that, we look up and go, right, can we challenge Champions League? Chelsea, yes, they're a couple of points ahead of us. They've got some tough games coming up. Forest have got some tough games coming up. They're 4 points ahead of us. It's not out of the realms of possibility. Like you just seen, Chris, you said it with Brighton, 4 on the bounce. If we go and do 4 on the bounce next, I think we're either level or maybe even above them within the next few games, regardless of their form at the moment. I genuinely do.
Tom Dixon's going one step further. He's saying if we win all of our remaining games, we could possibly True, Tom.
If we win the next game, Tom, it's tattoo time for you, buddy.
Well, Arsenal are not. Let's be honest, boys. Arsenal are not in a title race. They're in a top 4 race right now.
Oh, yeah.
They're in a top 4 race. Let's be honest. So,
Dad, flash that league back up a sec.
Yeah. Now, Chris, I'm just going to remind you of your original message in our chat as you go through the
I just
table
want
again.
to grab a quick news. 55. Yeah, do you know what, mate? Honestly, I watched that Arsenal Man United game the other night. Jesus Christ, Arsenal are fucking awful. Absolutely awful. Good job they've got them points on the board. That's all I'll say.
Their mind's in the Champions League, mate. Their mind is in the Champions. Don't be surprised. Don't be surprised if Arsenal lose a couple more games in the league now, moving forward, 2 or 3 more games. Their mind is firmly on Champions League football. They have, after that this weekend, they have completely sidestepped the league. I expect
hopefully it is come.
Third.
Hopefully it is come the 18th of May as well, or if in and around that date we play. Boys, let's go to a few comments or questions and see at home. So what have we got?
Okay. So we got Adam McCarthy, who's been a member for 37 months. Pretty much, Adam, top man. Lads, I'm wearing my sunglasses too tonight. Good man. Love to see it or hear it anyway, or read it. Yeah. Right. We've also got Mike Gent, who's gone one better. He's been a member for 8 months. Nice one, Mike. Loads of mag. The place for Toon supporters. Absolutely, Mike. Totally agree, mate. Totally.
Anyone higher than 38?
Yes. No. 38 is the max tonight. 38 is the max tonight. So a couple of quick fire ones, boys. So, John, not really with a question, just an observation, a very good one as well. How much did that West Ham team cost? Just shows money has to be spent wisely going forward. John, completely agree.
Yeah.
There was a lot of money on that pitch, not just us, but West Ham. They spent a hell of a lot of money on that squad. And they still need a good few more players. I'm sure Graham Potter agrees. But boys, these 2 questions, and you'll be pleased to know we won't have to answer these questions anymore going forward, because I'm sure the likes of Tom and Jeff are probably fed up of asking us as well. But let's let's put it to bed and let's give a definitive answer. So the first one is from Tom. Who would you play in goal for Sunday, Pope or Dubravka? I'll tell you mine. I'm going Martin Dubravka.
Yeah, I think Dubravka will play.
Who would you play?
I would play Nick Pope.
Daza?
Like I was all on for Martin Dubravka, but I also wanted him to play tonight. And Pope didn't put a foot wrong tonight, and he had plenty of the ball at his feet as well. I'm still getting nervous every time the ball comes back to him when it comes to his feet. I'm going to say Dubravka because Dubravka got us to the final, I want whoever can get us a victory. So is who I want to start in goal. But I think I'd go to Dubravka.
Yeah. Does it play into your boys' minds as well? I don't know if you're going to say this, Pete. Does it play into your minds as well? We've spoken about how Nick Pope wasn't the same after that Liverpool game when he got sent off. Yeah. Will that play a factor in Eddie's mind psychologically?
No, I don't think so, because I think I give you who I would play, but I think Dubravka's playing. I think he'll start. I think he's definitely going to be number one for the reasons that Daz said. He's helped us get to the final. He had a really good run, and it'll be his reward almost why he signed the extension of his contract. Yeah. I think that would have been part of the conversation. Look, sign the contract, we'll give you the final kind of thing. Which is why I think Pope's been playing he played the FA Cup, he's played the league game. But Pope is on his day, he's a better shot stopper than Martin Dubravka. And I just think against Liverpool, we're likely to get peppered with more shots than it would be about holding the ball and possession and playing out with your feet. I just think it may well be that type of game. If we're back, if we somehow go 1-0 up and we're backs to the wall, I want Nick Pope in goal. I want him coming out and doing what he did tonight, punching balls, collecting balls, sweeping up. If they're playing long balls in and behind to Salah or Diaz or Gakpo, I want him coming and clearing up the ball. That's who I would want. But Martin Dubravka, if you want someone that's going to control possession and hold possession and be good and find passes with the ball at his feet, I would want Martin Dubravka. And I think that's where I think the difficulty is with Eddie Howe, because almost if you put those two goalkeepers together, you've almost got the perfect goalkeeper. Someone that commands their area, good with the ball in commanding areas, can sweep, but then Dubravka's ability on the ball, you've almost got a goalkeeper that's like fully functioning there if you put them both together. But it's a difficult one. I would go with Pope just because I think we will need him to keep the ball out. And I know Clergy said Pope flaps, but he certainly didn't flap tonight. He made some commanding catches and punches, and he saved us in difficult moments tonight. And that's what Pope's all about. So
can I throw your own words back at you for a second, right? Okay. Just because earlier we were talking about how our defense kept playing the ball back to Pope, and Pope was under pressure with his feet. But our defense looks shaky. It has done for a long time. And that's the same defense that's going to be going up against Liverpool. So they're going to do the same thing. They're going to keep playing the ball backwards because there'll be a bit of a fear factor as well. So that's why I think it's going to need someone that can work their feet.
But they don't need to, Daz.
They don't need to, but they will.
That was the argument that I said, is that tonight we were giving him the ball when they didn't need to, when there were other options on the pitch with players that were free, and it was just safety first, pass it back to the goalkeeper because he's got more time and space than everybody else. Well, no, Bruno's free, Tonali's free, both comfortable on the ball, can play in tight spaces, are press resistant, give them the ball. And it's just that safety option. Like, for me, if we, in that position, can play the ball long into wide areas and get our wingers running at the ball or Isak running at the ball, I would much rather that. One, because it takes the pressure off Nick Pope or Martin Dubravka, by the way. I don't think that at the time, we don't need to use Martin Dubravka for using sake. If we can get the ball up the pitch and into wide areas, do it. For me, on the other side of that, is that it gets us up the pitch. It pushes Liverpool back. It pushes them back into defensive areas so we can then press them high. And we know with Isak, with Murphy, with not so much Barnes, because he's not the best of pressers, but Joe Linton, for example, Bruno, they're all good pressers of the ball high up the pitch. We're confident of winning that ball back. And so I absolutely get what you're saying, but sometimes I think we play for playing sake, and I don't think we need to do.
I'm whatever happens, I'm happy with that Eddie has the decision to make it, not us, and I'm happy with what Eddie goes with, because like it's his call. He's got us this far as well, so it's his call.
Totally, I think that's fair, Dalton. And then last question, and probably the most important question of the night, boys, from Jeff Jewett. Do you think we will win the cup? Tell the truth.
I'll go first here. I didn't. I was saying, okay, it's the same thing is going to happen again. It's going to be, we're going to blow it again. But as I said this the other night, then I listened to that conversation about Isak, and I think once Isak is fit and was going to make the final, which it looks like he is, then we're in with a chance. And Isak up against Van Dijk, I think he, as I said before, he shits his pants every time he plays against him. So I think once Isak's on the pitch, and now Barnes as well. Barnes looked good tonight. He's another potential goal scorer for us. I don't think that, apart from a long shot, I don't think Anthony will come from Murphy. But so I think we'll concede, but this we have potential to win 2-1.
Okay, Pete.
I'll be honest with you. I can't see past Liverpool winning. That's just me being honest. As much as I hate saying it, I think if we win, it's going to be based on a huge amount of luck. We're going to need to score the first goal. I don't see us fighting back in the game. We have to, if we want to make a game of this, we have to score the first goal. And scoring at Wembley is difficult enough. We haven't scored enough at Wembley over the years. So scoring the first goal is going to be crucial. For me, Newcastle United need to just go all out on Liverpool and just leave it all out there. Just go, right, we're gonna take the game to you regardless. We're gonna take the game to you, we're gonna go for you, and we're gonna push you back and try and get the goal. That's just my honest opinion. I would love to say, look, my heart, Newcastle United, my head, I'm saying it's going to be a Liverpool win. They're the best team in Europe right now. They've just got. It's hard to get past that, being honest.
Yeah,
Chris,
to answer Jeff's question honestly, I don't think we will win. But do I think we can? Yeah. And you know what? We know Eddie Howe and Jason Tyndall watch the show. We know the players tune in. All I would say, I would just echo exactly what Pete just said. I just want us to be brave. Don't sit there, sit back and wait to be picked off. Just don't go out there and give them a game. Go out there and be brave and give it everything. Leave every last ounce of breath out there. And you know what? If we get beat, so be it. But at least we can say we had a go. What we don't want to do is sit back, be neutral and just wait for that inevitable Salah goal or Szoboszlai goal or Gakpo goal or, God forbid, Nunes goal. Don't sit back and wait for that goal, because if they score first, I think we've got a mountain to climb, and I can't see us getting back in it. Go and attack them. Go and make them uncomfortable. Push on Trent. Push on Tsimikas or Robertson, whoever it is. Get the best striker in Europe right up against Virgil van Dijk. Let him know he's in a game early on. That midfield three tonight were absolutely brilliant. Loads of neutral fans, not just us, loads of neutral fans often say Newcastle arguably have the best midfield three in the Premier League. That midfield three, they could and probably will play in that final at the weekend. Go and prove why you're the best. Go and leave every single thing out there. And even if it doesn't pan out, then we just focus all attention onto the Premier League, but at least we've given it a go. Don't just go down with a whimper. That's all I'd say. Just don't go down with a whimper. Look back at the 3-3. Look back at the 3-3. That was a cracking game, and we give it to them. That's what we need to do. Don't just sit back.
And the other at the end of the show the other night, we were talking affair. I said, no, we're going to lose. But it's just the win tonight. That Barnes picking up a bit of form now in that game, showing that he's capable. And just like with the last final we went into, there was bad momentum. We had no keeper. The Bruno getting sent off and just he wasn't match ready. Let's say. So I think we could. It's possible. It is possible. But it's a big ask. It is an almighty ask for sure,
mate. It's a huge ask, and you know what? I am a firm believer in these narratives where if we had a full team, if we had a Botman, if we had a Gordon, if we had our full strength team out there, I think I'd be less confident in terms of it's just typical us not to go, when we're toe to toe and we just get beat. Whereas everyone now is expecting Liverpool to just turn up and bowl us over, nice and easy. And how often do you see, the underdog show up when they're struggling and just go and do it? We've witnessed.
You wouldn't watch sport otherwise.
Exactly. That's totally right. Totally right. So we can win it, Jeff. Heart to heart, I don't think we will, but we absolutely can. And I just want to see us give 110% and really go at them. That's all I want.
Wigan, Birmingham City. We're better than both of those teams, and those teams have gone against Man City and Arsenal and won, in particular Birmingham in the League Cup. So there's no reason why we can't, in a one-game opportunity, win. Now, watching Liverpool, which I did on Saturday, they looked absolutely shattered. They have to go and perform again at a high level against a very, very good PSG team. Hopefully, they bring those energy levels to St. James, to Wembley, aka St. James's Park on Sunday. So hopefully, hopefully they come with that sort of energy, because if they do, we're in for the chance. But look, we're going to rely on a little bit of luck. But as you boys have said, we've got players that we know can make the difference and hurt Liverpool, just like we did at St. James's Park end of November. We can do it, and in Liverpool give you a chance. You don't have to look at what Southampton did on Saturday.
Yeah, true.
They can give you a chance. So
do you know what? As well,
there's a chance.
One final thing, and this plays to our advantage, boys. We want it more than them. We definitely want it more than them.
Absolutely.
But we've got to go and show it. We've got to go and show it. And we don't want Liverpool just turning up thinking, it's just another cup final. And we, pander to them and basically roll over and let them walk all over us. We need to go and let them know they're in a game. Go and be another PSG. That's what we need to do. We need to turn up, and we could find that we might have too much for them. Who knows? Because those players will all have one eye on the league, one eye on the Champions League. This is our big one.
Time out, boys. We are done because we have a lot more coming up on Loaded and on other channels as well. So we'll stay tuned. Follow us on Twitter and Insta and everything else along the way. You will hear more about. We'll drop tomorrow what's happening. There's a lot of shows coming up on Loaded, so stay tuned for that. That's been the reaction show. All we can say is bring on Wembley and good luck, boys. Good night, everyone. See you on the next one.
They want a quick game coming in. Let's fucking get it. Let's blow them away with our running. Let's be intense in every action that we do. Let's make it a quick game. Let's go.